Welcome to another news video, guys. It has been a while. I'm happy to be back, though. I have been looking at some cool games, and I can't wait to share them with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now first things first, and long overdue, a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Into the AM. Of course, I'm always repping their shirts. I brought a whole bunch of those with me as I transition into the new place. And they have an awesome 25% off site-wide sale, and you can save 10% with the discount code down below. Now, there is one thing I want to show you guys real quick, right? So it's not just this cool shirt I'm wearing here. It's the fact that they are always adding cool shirts. So as you can see, a ton of great stuff here. I love these. I particularly love the wolf. That one's great. And then actually right down here, this one right here, very, very cool. Cosmic Clash Tee. Very awesome. All right, and another thing, and I'll be showing these off here soon, but these pants, they're all-day pants, look fantastic. They look super comfortable. They look very, very nice. I can wear them to work, and then I can still be comfortable when I come home from work, and that's really the key there. I think they look great. They look super duper cool. They have like the zipper pockets that I really enjoy. Again, I love the stretch. I think they look like they fit really great. So again, I'll be showing these off because I definitely got to try this. It looks really high quality, and it comes in a ton of colors, so super excited about that. So I'll be checking that out soon. Again, everything is linked down in the description below. Go ahead and check that out. There is a link there with that promo code. Save yourself 10%, guys, and enjoy something from Into the AM. Thank you so much for sponsoring. Another quick shout out. I know I'm doing this a lot, but I did want to shout out you guys for your awesome support on my fundraiser. I actually broke 11,000, which was my final kind of stretch goal here. I did add 2 or 3 different games, actually. So you can see here, no, 2 games. So Madara and Stuffed Fables. Guys, thank you all so very much. Now, I know it said that it would end at the end of March, and then I decided, well, I didn't decide, but I ended up not making any videos in March. So I will extend this for the next few days so that just in case any of you guys were planning on giving again or adding to a donation, or if you wanted to go ahead and support my efforts here, then by all means, this will be linked down below as well for the next few days. Then I will shut it off and we'll get to resolving that. But either way, guys, thank you so much. I had a great time in 2023 and 2024. Trust me, it's going to be great. If you recall, from my previous move, and I know my moves can be kind of a lot, right, on this channel, but after the move, all the videos I made in my previous location and the quality improvement that I hope you guys saw, I hope to do the same this year, guys. It's going to be a great year. I'm so excited. Okay, that out of the way, let's look at some cool freaking games, huh? How about we do that? All right, so first things first, Super Boss Monster. This one is already at almost 1 million, over 9,000 backers, and still 4 days ago, so they still have the 2-day window. This is definitely going to hit over 1 million, and well earned, I think. The first one, I watched this video, and what they said is the first Boss Monster has sold over 1 million copies. I didn't realize it was quite that large, but I have seen it in a lot of those game stores, and that's super cool. All right, and another thing to note is it is backwards compatible, so if you have a whole lot of the expansion stuff like that, you can still use it all in this, but this is kind of a cool change as well. So this new town board is really cool, and one of the cool things about this is you always have this like row where you can like go ahead and like deck build, upgrade your deck there when it comes to building your dungeon. But then you'll notice that you have this little minion as well that you can essentially like go onto different locations. So as the heroes come in and they get into town or whatever, and you're dealing with them, you can move those in to do different effects and stuff like that. Very cool. It looks like it takes what you already love about Boss Monster and adds a little bit of super to it, if you know what I mean. I think that's pretty neat. It'll go over and it'll show you pretty much everything that I just kind of told you, right? And you can see right here, the pledges, the minion pledge is $30. The boss pledge is $45, and that one gives you a neoprene town mat and 32 wooden heart tokens, so that one's kind of nice. The super boss, this one is cool. It's everything in the pledge above, as well as this like collector box, which is cool, and a 5th and 6th player extension board, and 2 extra mini meeples to go with a 5th and 6th player, obviously, so it's not just 4-player anymore. Plus an exclusive card set, and the exclusive card set's kind of cool. 90, this is kind of a nice one. This is the big box and Kickstarter edition. It adds 1 for each player, 4, and again, not 5 and 6 though, which is kind of the awkward part here. But you do get 4 neoprene player mats, but again, if you're playing 5 and 6, then that gets kind of awkward, right? Then you have the Ultimate Starter. This just comes with everything from the past ones as well. So you get the 10th Anniversary Edition, the next level, all the different expansions you can see there of Boss Monster now into this big box, which is pretty darn cool for sure. The stretch goals have been really fun. In fact, they've unlocked all their stretch goals and they're making new ones. So as you can see here, they've done quite a bit of stuff, which is nice. And some of these, like beautification, this is just like updating a whole lot of different stuff. So it's very nice that they kind of did this. They themed it all. Be sure to read this because just what they're showing here isn't actually, like, this is a big box upgrade and they show like a picture of this. So you're just going to have to read what's going on. It's all like, this is spicy. Okay, what does that mean? It says it underneath, right? So this full power where you get 6 level up coins, which are very, very cool. Was kind of the end of it, but as you can see, they're still going to be doing more and more and more. So they're definitely having a blast there. I think it's super cool. It's obviously a game that a lot of people love. It's a theme that a lot of people love. They definitely know what they're doing with the super version of it. I think that's super great. It just looks fun too, so that's really cool. All right, next up, we have Mythwind reprint and new content. Now this is one I'm covering because I know a lot of you guys are interested in it. This is not something that I would pick to buy, so I'm not as invested in this one. Now, it's something I would enjoy playing. It's essentially Stardew Valley, the board game, if you were going to call it that. It's a very casual game. There's no winners and losers. You're all cooperating. There is a ton of variety in this game, which I just think is super cool. Now, this is not the first time or the last time we're going to see this. This is now a common thing. Everybody gets a booster pack of promo cards. That is the one thing everybody loves to do, right? So here is that. If you back it right now, which if you see, 18 days still to go, 300,000+ raised, 3,500 backers. They're doing quite well with Mythwind indeed. And this is a reprint too, so obviously people have enjoyed this or are still interested in this. And you can get a free little promo kit there too, which is always kind of fun. Now, see, they even call it a cozy single player and cooperative, one-of-a-kind cozy board game, all right? It's what they call it. And I think that really fits both in the style of game. You're going to get a lot of Euro stuff in this one, Euro game mechanics, such as deck building and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff where you get to, change how your character works or build up a town, right? That's a kind of Stardew Valley style kind of thing. And you're still working towards objectives and whatnot. Honestly, a lot of that is pretty darn cool for sure. Definitely neat. 85 USD is what they're charging. Of course, they'll be shipping on top of that. But as you can see, you get the 3-panel dual-layer town board and a whole lot of very nice little things here. They have a revised town charter. Just a ton of different, everything's like wood tokens and stuff like that, which is cool. You get these wood dice here. Definitely a nice feel to everything, if that makes sense. It definitely looks quite premium. Pretty darn cool. So again, I know this isn't something I would get a huge amount into. You can pimp it out obviously as much as you want, but I know a lot of you guys are interested in that, so I just wanted to shout out that it is here in a reprint, and there's definitely a lot here. The all-in 355, you get like a dice tower and all sorts of fanciness if you want to go all out there. But for the most part, new gameplay, if you already have it, it'll cost you about 40, and that'll get you that. Otherwise, it's about 86 and above when it comes to that. So that's what that is. Now, this one's kind of cool. This is by Red Grass Games, and they're one of my favorite companies when it comes to like just painting miniatures, whether it's their palette, which their palette's fantastic. I even like the reusable sheets. I know a lot of people didn't when it comes to their, well, not a lot of people, but there were some people that really didn't like the reusable sheets. I tend to like them quite a bit. I think they've worked pretty good, and I have yet to get through all of mine. There's quite a few there, of course. But, parchment paper isn't that bad either way. This is their new and improved handle here, and this looks really good. So if you paint miniatures, this is definitely something to check out. And it's pretty darn cheap, too. It's not that bad at all. The regular one I have, and that's really good, except you can end up kind of screwing them on and off a lot, and you're just using like a little bottle cap. It's not quite as good, right? They've really improved on this a lot. This axle here, so you can just kind of spin infinitely, super cool. So you can snap it on good, but then you can turn it. You're not going to unscrew it or anything like that. They have a regular size one. Then they have one for a larger base. And then they have this little inset there for a cork that you can then put on right here for pinning. So if you have like a little piece of something that you've pinned, you can do that. And there's a magnet on the bottom, so you can like, set that on your desk and it just kind of sits there. Very, very cool. I think that's awesome. It looks like it works great. It looks quite ergonomic. I like that. Honestly, it looks pretty good. The one thing I worry about is putting something too big on there and having it wobble. That's what I found with the original one. I don't know if this solves it or not, but typically they try to make this kind of lightweight. And the problem with the lightweight and the small base is if it's too big, it is going to start falling over and stuff like that, and you don't necessarily want that. So I wouldn't put anything like crazy large Warhammer on this, but for most of your units and stuff, I think this will work quite well. And honestly, for something that big, often you don't necessarily even want a paint handle, and you're just moving the mini or doing something else. It just depends. Or if nothing else, and this is where I think it has a lot of potential, take it off the handle and then just keep it on that top part there. So even though it's a big thing, it can top there and it won't really like fall or wobble or anything like that. I think that's probably what I would do here. So you can upgrade and get these 4 big ones if you already have the version 2 of the handle. This will work. $7, guys. It's not that bad. It won't be that much in shipping either. If you get the base kit plus the 4, plus I'm not even sure what this is. I don't know what they're including in there. I couldn't necessarily find it very easily. But whatever it is, mounting putty. Okay, well the mounting putty is very good actually. Really good mounting putty. That'd be $22 and you get that. Really, this is the one I would think most people would want. This is for about $31. So it's $31, but you were pretty much done for any batch painting you're doing for pretty much life on this one. So you get that, and then you get 4 big ones and 4 small ones. So you can paint like 8 or 9, because I think the base one comes with one too. Like a ton of different, like a whole unit, right? Pretty much, and even have them on the individual bases. You can swap out the bases as you swap out colors. You don't have to take them off the putty and put them back on the putty. All that's already done. And you get like 2 times putty. So that's quite a bit. And as you can see, 1,897 people backing that. That's definitely the big one. If you're wanting a wet palette, you can get the wet palette too. I do highly encourage the use of a wet palette, especially if you're in a dry area. They do have their R9 lamp. Their lamp looks very nice. Sadly, I've not tried it yet, but it does look very, very good. But pretty pricey as well. Either way, definitely a cool campaign. Glad to see them doing well. Definitely a fan of their stuff. It's definitely quality stuff. And 3 days still to go on that. All right, next up, this is kind of fun. Armello the board game. So this is a video game I've had wishlisted on Steam for like years at this point, as with a lot of things on Steam. But this was a video game that was very much a video game board game without the board game. Like, it was never a board game. It was a video game, but it played as a board game. Kind of a funny situation. Often you see the other side of that. So with this, they finally made a board game, which is pretty darn cool, I think. And as you can see, doing quite well. 400,000 raised, 3,000, almost 3,500 backers, and there's still 3 days to go. So there's still that 2-day to go window thing that they're going to be doing, where they get the last 48 hours, right, which are going to be huge. This one, it looks very pretty. It looks very, very pretty, which is cool. There's a fair bit going on though. This is actually kind of advanced because it's taking this video game, and when you make a video game versus a board game, there's a lot of things that you can kind of take for granted and stuff. So this is kind of still distilling it down and changing things a little bit. See, this is how the video game plays, as you can see. Very much a board game as a video game. Standard edition is $80 plus shipping. Collector's edition, $109. And then if you want the everything fancy version, you go to $150. Now, those dice look super cool. The miniatures look kind of to me. They look not necessarily the highest. Even the renders make them look a little bit muddy, and that's probably what they'll probably end up being, is looking kind of like this. Now, it is an anime kind of cartoony look, like the video game is, so that kind of fits, but at the same time, it's kind of as well. But you do get a lot of dice. You do get a ton of different cards, all with linen finish. It's going to be really, really nice, right? It's going to feel nice. It's going to look nice. I think it's great. Great art, obviously, and all of that. All the tokens and stuff you can get fully upgraded. You get like Spirit Stone gems and quests and all sorts of stuff. Again, it's kind of like playing the video game. So if you've played the video game, this is definitely something to look at. Now, this is also cool. The cardboard palace model where you play on top of that just looks super cool. And these are nice as well. These look quite pretty. And these dice, again, these look good. I don't know if they're going to end up looking like that, the final thing. Very nice. $20 gets you 16 of them. It's almost $1 a dice for fancy dice. I mean, dice are such good profit generators. And at the end of the day, I'm glad they're making profit, right? We want these companies to not go under and then do well and make cool games for us. You also get a guppy pin. That's important. That's important. Okay, so as you can see, they've been unlocking a whole lot of different stuff, a lot of different pieces. These amulet cards, these look really cool, right? And now they're going to get a guppy miniature here soon. That's going to be huge, obviously. So anyway, very cool to see. Again, maybe a little pricey and maybe a little much for the, I don't know. It's hard translating between board game and video game, even when the video game is set for a board game. It shows how much of a difference it is when, just like how often you're shuffling and stuff like that. And that's not a problem with this per se. It's just something to keep in mind, right? Is when you're physically moving stuff and physically setting stuff out and all that, you have to really keep in mind. It looks like, from what I can tell, they've done a pretty good job here. But definitely not the easiest translation to do. It's much easier the other way around, I feel. All right, this one is fascinating to me. So, A.I.Pokalypse, the auto battle card game. What is going on here? This is crazy. Okay, so this is between the AI and the auto battle. You're just like, what is this a mobile game? What's going on, right? So this has raised 21,500 plus backers. It's really good to break that 500, and there's still 16 days to go. If they could break the 1,000, that'd be even bigger for them. I know. So that'd be pretty cool. Okay, so this is actually a pretty neat looking game in my opinion. So you get like 64 different people, something like that. Like there's quite a few different people, and then you can equip them and level them up and kind of do stuff like that to go ahead and go through the game. And it's like a legit game that you go through, but just cards. 102 basic units, 64 unique special units, and then 30 unique factions. So there's a ton of stuff in this little game, which is super cool to see. I think it looks like a lot of fun, actually. I don't know, something about, so you have these cards, right? And there's artifacts and stuff like that. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff they're doing. See if I can get a picture of it to kind of show you. So you're essentially adding stuff together. So you have this guy and you're adding these different things to it, right? And then you have like the cards underneath have these numbers, and you're like leveling them up, and then you can flip and you can, so you like get these like stronger buffs. And I very much like that, and a lot of, like, even when I play Magic the Gathering, often I'm trying to buff my units and stuff. Like, I'll make a white deck, and that's all it does is, it start out with these cheap units, and you buff them up, and you get them all strong. I don't know. It's something fun that I kind of like. Feel free to take a look at this. It's very, very interesting, and it looks like you could play this a ton and still see a large variety of different situations and stuff, which is very, very cool. Oh, and I didn't even cover the price. The price, again, it's cheap. It's cheap. Core game, $30. Sorry, I apologize. And then the full gameplay, $38. Yeah, just get the 38 and get the, it's like 32 more cards, right? For just a little bit more. And then, and then they have, like, all these, like, hey, just thank us and stuff. Because, honestly, again, it's not that expensive. I think it's pretty cool. Something about card games, I don't know. I love it. I love it. Okay. This one surprises me. You guys are gonna have to let me know about this, okay? Because I know you guys are in it, and I know I've been out of the loop, so you guys gotta let me know. This is Requiem: Dawnfall of Magic. It's by Ludus Magnus Studio. I played this at Spiel last year and thought it looked quite interesting. I'm a big fan of Bloodborne. I'm a big fan of kind of really dark, old school German, fantasy vibes, right? Which is what this is literally in 17th Germany, 18th, I can't remember. The point is, it looks really cool. They have a lady named Beatrice that has candles in her hat. I'm sold. Love it. So it looked really cool. When I played it, it looked like it played quite differently, and the demo was kind of weird because it was extremely guided, so I didn't get to play too much of it, as in me playing, instead they were just kind of showing us everything. But I really liked my character and how versatile my character was, because I felt like I could serve multiple roles in the team, depending on what the team needed. And I thought that versatility was very interesting. And just how, I guess, RPG it felt when it came to exploring a story versus a dungeon crawl where it's mostly combat focused. This one that there's a lot more quests that you're going and doing stuff. Thought it was super cool. Okay, so I was like, hey, this is actually pretty legitimate. I'm surprised it's only raised 300,000. So you let me know what is causing you to be hesitant from backing if you haven't backed it yet. I'm just curious. My assumption, besides the fact that it's Losing My Studio and a lot of people have just written them off already, and I can totally understand that. But if it's not LMS, is it the price versus what you're getting? Because I don't think they do a good job of showing stuff other than miniatures when it comes to quality. So for instance, so we'll just go in here, right? So it's about a 30-hour campaign, right? And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I want 300 hours. Like how many of us are going to finish that? When I hear 30-hour campaign, I'm like, hey, I may actually beat this one. So I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that. But, whatever. So, like, this right here is super duper cool. It's like this book that you're literally flipping through and you're going through. That's super cool. But this is pretty much the game here. It's kind of what you're seeing. Now, you're not seeing all the different player boards, right? So they're not showing it off as well as they could, and then all the minis here, but it's such a high angle that you don't necessarily even tell size, so a lot of them aren't necessarily that big. We do have a dog mini. That's important, of course. And in fact, like Death right there, like you can barely tell, versus like right here, you can kind of see the size difference. About twice as high from what I can tell. So I'm not sure exactly what what is, like, I like the zero downtime, epic encounter, sound spice, immersive story. This is probably the big one for me. And the asymmetric characters. The characters did act all differently. We were doing different stuff that was kind of cool. The art was cool. Don't know about the high replayability. But then it kind of goes into just like showing you the characters and stuff, right? Like why are you showing me a base? Like, come on, is that really one of the first things you have to see in your game? So maybe it's that, right? I'm not exactly sure. Like, Death looks cool here. All the minis look great. Now, of course, these are the renders. LMS is famous for doing renders that don't translate to the final miniature. Their final minis are pretty good, but their renders are like exceptional and sometimes impossible. These actually look pretty decent when it comes to that. Like, nothing's too bad. I mean, that claw right there is really darn freaking skinny. That's not going to happen. But, besides that, this main board, though, here, right, with all these different books, you get 15 different chapter books and then 10 discovery books, and you put it in here and you're leafing through it, and it's got pictures, as you can see, and then story and stuff like that. I really like that. It's got 300 exploration cards. There's a lot here, and they don't show it very well, right? 150 discovery cards with hundreds and hundreds of cards, right? 30 equipment cards, 20 treasure cards, damage tokens, and 54 tactic cards. So there's actually quite a bit. Like, I've been impressed. And they have these expansions, right? And they go into these expansions, and again, they look cool. Like this whole old hag kind of looking face. That's super cool. A lot of there's the dog that's important, right? A lot of this is a stretch goal unlocks that they've done for this, and you can kind of see that. This Celine here looks amazing. Love the half and half there. I think that's super cool. So they definitely got some cool stuff here for sure. Definitely impressive in my opinion. Even this is 7 discovery books and 10 chapter books in this little bit here. Quite a bit, and I'm not sure. I think it may just be, maybe it's a miniature count, right? Maybe that's it. I don't know. I thought this looked different than everything else that LMS has done, which I noted when I spoke to them. Like, hey, this is like not your normal thing. But neither was like their last one either. The like really RPG one. I can't think of the name right now. But it had like the 3D terrain in it and stuff. That was very different from their previous stuff. And this is, again, quite different. This one is very much more of like a board game people can just sit and play, which I actually appreciate, versus the other one, which is a little bit more, oomph and setup and stuff for the 3D stuff. But either way, a lot of cool stuff there. So, and here's all their stretch goals. They've been doing a lot of stretch goals, right? And again, most of those you've kind of already seen. Like, this guy's cool. I like that. And they're coming out with more, obviously. But I was surprised when I logged on and I saw 300,000. I feel like this would have gone higher than that. So let me know what you think. Oh, they even show their status on all their stuff. And maybe that's it. Maybe because they do have some stuff that's late. And they seem to be delivering just slowly. Right here. Nova Aetus, or Renaissance. That's the one I was thinking of, right? And this has crossovers with that. It has crossovers with Black Rose Wars, right? You got all that kind of stuff. Where is their... Oh, come on now. Come on. All the art. Yes, their minis look pretty. Their game looks cool. Miniature scale here, so you can see. Pretty standard miniature scale, I would say. And you got some that are quite large, but mostly just for like the wings, right? Oh, right here. So as you can see, they have Runar, which is still out, The Breach, which is still out, and Nova's Renaissance Wave 2, which is still out. I'm glad that they actually showed Wave 1 versus Wave 2, so they can show, like, we've delivered one, but we have not delivered the game fully. Right, so they have 3 kind of outstanding right now, with The Breach almost done with manufacturing, is kind of what, and the other 2 kind of just starting. And I have a feeling what that means is like you can pre-print some stuff fairly easily, you don't have a lot of storage or anything like that. But normally when you do the full like you're just doing the production run, right? So, and I don't know, I kind of doubt they're doing 3 at a time. So I imagine. And maybe this one's just like packing it up, and I don't know. I don't know what that little bar means there. But either way, if we look at price here, and maybe this is kind of where it's a little bad. So this adventurer, this is not the game, right? This one is not the game. So the first 2 are like, hey, here's our crossovers, but because they're cheaper, and Kickstarter does at least to most, right? And so it's not until the order at 161 that you get it. This is the game right here, and these are the 2 kind of Kickstarter stretch goal stuff, right? Now, I actually kind of hate that it covers up the main box even. You see less of the main box than the stretch goal stuff. Like, it's not very obvious to me that this was the one I needed for the Requiem Downfall of Magic core box. I mean, like, I had to read it and look at it, but it should be pretty obvious to me. I think that should be the main thing I see in the image, in my opinion. I kind of had to look and read the side of the box real quick, and that's just kind of silly. So about 161 for the game, and so, again, it's got a ton of cards and stuff like that. I know that it doesn't scale as well, but I know people are so miniature focused. Like, you could offer 1 million cards and 3 million tokens and all this stuff, but if you only have 3 minis, like, people are going to focus on the minis. Like, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I know people, that's how us consumers are with these games, right? You see the minis and you're gonna like, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, 3, yeah, whatever. That's like 1,000 cards, whatever. But how many minis do I get, right? And so then when you see, dear Lord, there's so much here. When you see this picture here, and you're like, 161 for that. There's a lot of repeats there. I don't know. And I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. But let me know. Comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this because I'm honestly curious. Because I would have thought this would have been bigger. This is actually probably one of my picks from Spiel. I just thought it stood out both in how it looked and how it felt. Okay, next up, Heroes of the Sanctum, the strategy card game. This one is interesting. Very, very interesting. There's like loot and stuff like that. This is 1 to 4 players, but it's really 1 player. And then they have like, you can play it as essentially an multiplayer expansion, as you see right here, that allows up to 4, that does play a little bit different. So you have like this, and there's a lot, I'm not going to get into all the mechanics here, but you have this like, these are like your actions that you can do, and you put the tokens on there and stuff, and essentially it separates it, and so you're not fielding a group of people, but instead you're fielding 1 person each, and so everybody kind of has their own, and it changes the dynamic a little bit. This is like it's a card game, but it's very much scenario-based. You're actually going through this and going through, like, a story and doing different stuff. And these, like, rows here matter, so the position matters and all that stuff. In fact, they even mention, like, tower defense-ish a little bit. Now, it's hard for me to see that from here, but based off their explanation of the areas and how things move around, it can kind of make sense. Looks like a unique card game. I think it's super cool. It's by Firetap Games. It's their first one. They have backed 10 before, so I mean, they're not totally new to Kickstarter. There's a few, I think, mistakes that they've done in the campaign that would help them out a little bit. But either way, it's like $31 for the game, or if you want all the expansions, which of course you do, it's about $75. That's what most people are going for. 385 backers, still 24 days to go, 22,000 raised. One thing I would say that's kind of an issue is you're going to see, a lot of these are gifts, which are great, but you're going to see this, like, all the time. And you just, scrolling through it, like, okay, I see there's a whole bunch of cards there. Okay. And then there's a whole bunch of cards. Is that the same GIF? As far as I can tell, it's the same GIF. I know it's not those like little areas that you are in, but it's the same style of GIF. I just see rows of cards constantly. And so for a casual scroll, it's not the best when it comes. I mean, literally, that's what they do on every single one. And I was scrolling through, I'm like, I feel like they're repeating gifts. They're pulling a fast one on me. But either way, it looks pretty cool. So congrats on funding on that. All right, next up, Robot Quest Arena Bot Battle. Now this is big, and I always try to notice this. This is 563,000 raised, over 2,000 backers, over 2,500 backers actually, and still 2 days left. So they've hit the 2-day mark here. So it's last call again. Everything is linked down in the description below. Feel free to check it out, of course. This is not the first campaign for this. This is the second one, I believe. And so anytime you see something that's successful a second time, you know that either the people that have played it love it, or more people want it than have even played it. Either way, it's obviously not a dud. It's very hard to fund a dud twice, right? When it comes to, like, we don't want the one and done where they don't care and all that was there to sell not play well. If it didn't play well, people wouldn't be interested, in my opinion. So I think they're doing quite well here. It's by Wise Wizard Games, and I know a lot of people like them, so that's really cool as well. You can see players 2 to 11, which is wild if you have enough. These come pre-painted, by the way, which is pretty cool. Now, it is a fairly pricey game, but a lot of it's because of these little pre-painted minis, right? That's definitely a thing. To me, it reminds me of Robopon. I used to love Robopon as a kid. It was on the Game Boy, and it was like Pokemon, but with robots. Robopon. Okay, whatever. I still liked it. So if any of you played that, you may know my appreciation for that. I did love Robopon. Okay, so again, yeah, you're in Rivet or whatever, and you have all these different, trainers, that have all their different pocket robot people, right? You know what you're doing there. If we go to rewards here, you'll see here the new bots. If you just want the new guys, $89, and this is what you get. And again, with the booster pack, I get it. I get it. I get it. Everybody wants a booster pack, and you know what? Like, it's not even like I understand the joy of it. I play Magic. Like, I understand the joy of opening a booster pack, and for a draft, nothing beats it, right? Like, I get it, but if you recall, before the card craze that we had, that kind of died off in my opinion, but this is still from it. You would get promo cards all the time, and they would come with like a little clear wrap, or they'd be wrapped there, or they'd just have a little paper thing around them. Either way, it was nothing fancy. I mean, the cards were cool, but now they're like doing this whole packaging with the. I'm not trying to get all eco-earth stuff here when it comes to the extra packaging that's unnecessary, but it's not random cards. It's a promo pack. Like, this is not a booster pack. You don't need to wrap it like it's some mystery thing. I don't know. My opinion, it's just going to go in the trash anyway. It seems kind of silly. And it just reminds me of all of the, like, oh my gosh, get this now kind of, card packs that, the collectible card game craze that they were doing here. But either way, you get those. Okay, but I didn't mean to go on a tangent there. Either way, your new player, 69. It's wild to me that the new player is like cheaper than than like getting just the new stuff here. That's wild to me. Everything new is 159, and that's where you get all their other stuff that they do, like the storage box, which you're gonna want with if you already have all the stuff anyway, in my opinion. All bots tier 219. So this is not cheap, and that's what's amazed me actually, is that I remember on the first one commenting how expensive this is. All in tier 329, which, I mean, again, I've backed games that cost more than that, but typically this isn't like the most content ever. Like, that wasn't like that much cards. It's these like painted robot minis. This is what's expensive, is those, and like, they seem high quality, they seem fun. I'm just like, I don't know. It's always odd to me. Like, I appreciate when a company offers a painted version for people who don't want to paint. But normally you see the price difference and you're like, dang. And then part of me wants to say, oh, it's because they're offering both. So their SKU spread is higher, right? And the more SKUs you have, the harder it is to make a profit and stuff, because the logistics of putting it all together can just be a lot, right? Like, sure, like your 3PL kind of like just goes off the roof. But if all you're doing is offering the painted versions and they're all the same, I don't know. It doesn't even have that excuse. It's just expensive, but it also looks pretty cute, and apparently it seems to be a pretty cool game. So there's that too. All right, next up, Starforged, hand-painted sci-fi terrain by Dwarven Forge. I love the Dwarven Forge stuff. They were going to send me some to show off. Obviously, I don't know if they did or not. If so, it's at the house I'm not living at right now. That's unfortunate. There's my good old Necrons there with their Ghost Arc and stuff. This is different than what they normally do, though, which I think is super cool. So seeing super high-quality stuff, which I always appreciate, and it is high-quality stuff. But as you can see, they have Star Wars there, right? They have Warhammer stuff there. But they're doing tabletop like stuff instead of like the whole RPG world where everything's there. So it's on a map. So in other words, they don't have the connection pieces there. Now you can combine it. Like this is with their like for what they called it, like jungle or wilderness pack, I think is what they called it. So it works well with their previous stuff. But you don't have to do that. If you want to do a Space Hulk, you can do that, or a whole Cantina RPG thing. Even then, you could do that as well. They have insides and outsides. This is smart, so their pipelines can go in half, and now they're catwalks, which is kind of cool. I kind of dig that. Again, it's all that. They even have unpainted versions, and that's super interesting as well. So it's a little bit cheaper. It is Dwarf It's definitely really nice stuff. You can see the scale here, right? So there is Star Wars, for instance. There's Star Wars, there's Games Workshop, right? So you can kind of see what the scale would look like there. Honestly, it looks super cool. Now, the one thing I will say is, again, if you get the hand-painted, it is super high quality, it is super nice, it is super expensive. This is pimping out your game like never before. Like when it comes to just straight bot stuff, this is fancy crap, okay? So just know that going in there, right? When you see this, how much do you think this would cost? Go and let me know right now. How much, or at least think about it. How much do you think this would cost? Right? Because I'm going to show you. I mean, again, it looks great. It looks fantastic, of course. It looks awesome. So if you wanted to buy that interior ship thing. Oh, yeah, this is cool too. So it's all magnetic, of course, on the bottom there and stuff. And you can even like take that and like put it on there and it like snaps on. That's super cool. When they fit in, they have these little slots, which is kind of cool too. Right? And they're showing all the different ways you can kind of, organize it and stuff. Again, very, very neat. Yeah, see, it has these little connection points. See, like right there, that connect everything. See, right there is where to go there. That, again, they don't normally do. So that's definitely different than what they normally do. Okay, so with all of this, yeah, I'll be a stretch pay. Yeah, that's huge for this. I'll tell you that much. My goodness. That pack is right here, and to get it painted, it would cost you $1,400. It's super cool. Definitely cool. Very expensive, right? So it's cool also that they have an unpainted version as well. Now, of course, it's not quite as nice, but it is definitely nice to have the unpainted version of it that you would need, right? So unpainted, $827. So quite a difference, almost half the price. Now, still expensive. It's also still very finely crafted stuff that works really well together and can be used for a lot of different things. But definitely expensive. This, honestly, though, like if you talk like Games Workshop prices, right? Having this whole like mega pack stuff here for $164, again, unpainted, right? But there's quite a bit here. Like you could actually do a fair amount of stuff. This is probably Games Workshop price, right? And I'll spray paint it silver and put some wash on it, you're done. Not too bad, not too bad. Again, Dwarven Forge, very high quality, very much pimped out, very expensive. Let's see, where were they on timing? 2 days left, so last call for this. Again, link in the description below, of course. 615,000 raised, good for them. All right, next up we have Reign of Hades. This is kind of an unfortunate one because I had the chance to play this. Well, I could have had the chance to play this. I only had so much time at Spiel, but they were there at Spiel. In fact, the first time I was riding the tram to the location for Spiel, they were there and I saw the game case. I was like, that looks super cool. I love that. I think that looks awesome. And of course, now here it is. I'm a big fan of like the Greek lore and stuff like that, so obviously that's kind of fun. Essentially, Hades has taken over, and now you have your divinity is gone, so you're playing all the gods, but not as divine people trying to get back at Hades. A fun little scenario there as well. The one thing I would say about this, I think it looks like pretty cool combat, but the one problem is it's fairly involved. Like you're following, like there's stuff here you're following, all your dice you can manipulate in different ways, which is I mean, there's more stuff over here. It is pretty complex. It's definitely something for like gamers that are used to gaming, right? So I think my group would be fine, but this isn't something you'd want to maybe just pull out on like board game group and like, hey, these new guys are like trying to try out board games. You're like, well, let's do a lot of stuff with dice, like advanced stuff. So just know that going in. I think it looks cool. There's like 20 different scenarios, I think they say it is. There's quite a bit. It's co-designed by the guy who did all of these, so that's cool. It's definitely some clout there. The Ares, it looks like he's going to be super cool, definitely. I have a Hades dice tower, only 15. That's nice for a dice tower, actually. That's not too bad. It is obviously heavily themed. 131 for the deluxe edition. That's the one with all the minis. You can get it without if you want. 81 for the standard. And then 103 for the extended edition gameplay all in. And then for the super deluxe edition, 164. That's probably what a lot of people are going for there. See 532 times. That's probably the biggest one besides the deluxe edition of 500. People go to deluxe. It's what it is. Right? At the moment we see numbers on these games, we're like, oh, everybody's going max. Okay. Which is pretty typical. They do have a wash for all the miniatures. The miniatures are an interesting style. It's not really the style I would necessarily like the most, but it's still pretty cool. This is how I knew I might like this game, though. It has a kill count marker. Any game that has you counting your kills, I'm kind of interested in. That's pretty much all you need from me. That is pretty fun. So you can see the style is a little bit, how do I put it? I won't say thick because that sounds kind of weird. But hopefully that makes kind of sense. Like here, when you see the enemies, like, do you see what I'm talking about here? Like, they just seem like legacy minis. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. They seem chunky. Chunky, that's a good word. They're chunky minis. Okay, Typhon's the final boss, so hey, there's spoiler alert there for you guys. Again, the dice look kind of fun, so I dig that. The painted wooden printed stuff, the metal and the deluxe, right, looks super cool. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here that you're having to like deal with. Like, it's not just that, a little bit when it comes to that. Quite a few different 200 plus monster cards and stuff. So there's quite a bit of stuff here. It looks pretty cool. I dig it. But they're new, and again, there is a lot here when it comes to this. The solo mode does have it's another way of playing, so they have like this board and cards to kind of deal with it. Just as an FYI, when it comes to that. I was hoping to show, see, like right here. So as you can see, there's like a lot of different like fighting positions that you're doing, right? And then you're like, you have all these different things where you can like upgrade, or you can convert, or you can flip. And then you can see that there's multiple different things you're doing on each one, depending on, what side you get. So there's a variety of stuff there. And then you can even like both like, it's an advanced combat system. So this is an FYI. Oh, this is kind of cool. So this is kind of cool, where you level up, right? So and you're literally like getting stronger, and your card changes too. I don't know where that shows, but yeah, see right here, you can actually your card changes. But again, look at all this stuff on the card. It looks advanced, so it's cool. I dig it. I like it. Probably a bit too much, just too much in the combat. I just want to roll die, know exactly what I did, and then move on. I don't necessarily like rolling die and then figuring it out, or having to do a whole lot of stuff before rolling the dice. I just like the combat to be kind of smooth, if that makes sense, if I can. Though I know a lot of people do like some real oomph in their combat, in which case I think this might actually do it for you guys. Alright, next up we have AR Vault Heroes and Companions. This one's actually pretty darn cool. They do have a lot here, and they look very nice. They've done great on these pictures, that is for sure. They look awesome, and obviously the style of them are super cool as well. I dig that. They have a little hey, what do you want, when it comes to what they're giving you. The one thing I will say is that I think they're at $2 a mini, which isn't terrible for just a minis thing, and AR can definitely get away with it. That's not the wash version, of course. It's $2 a mini. That's just a regular version. Though some of these are kind of smaller, but a lot of them are super cool too. So I dig it. I love it. I think a lot of these look very, very nice. They've done a good job styling these. I think they're great. I like them. They have a lot of personality. A lot of them are kind of more unique than others, which is very kind of cool as well. It's not the hugest array, but if any of these look nice, you could definitely use them here. But interesting to see if this stays like that or not. Obviously, this is not the picture of the final miniature here. Normally, bowstrings kind of hard to do, at least unless you do ABS. The one thing I will say here is a lot of the dice are kind of expensive. So like, for instance, right here, you're at $40 for 20 minis. So that's $2 a mini, right? And that's like the multi-part like companions and heroes and stuff like that. Like that's not bad. If you add more though, as you see, it gets to be quite a bit. Now they're nice, they're fancy, stuff like that, of course. But the dice sets, like $30 for the dice. That's like a single cast. They're not like multi-part or anything. I mean, I get that they're fancy, but these are way cheaper to make for them than the like miniature. So it's interesting that they charge like just as much for less. I get it. People will pay a ton for dice. I understand that there's this artificial inflation of dice price that the whole industry is a part of. I get it because it's one of the best sellers. In fact, come on. Their CEO went on record and was talking about how like this is our biggest seller is the dice. We make more profit on the dice. Everybody buys the dice. It's the biggest add-on. You can artificially limit the dice that you get, so you can charge them to pay for more, and they'll pay for it. And they'll pay like $1 of dice, and it's just a different colored plastic that they inject into the same injection. It costs them nothing different, right? So stuff like this too. This not super expensive. And in fact, what's even better about these, because they're sculpted and stuff like that, they're not supposed to be like completely random, right? Like even and stuff like that. So they don't even have to be. Most board game dice honestly are garbage made when it comes to that, because people like them to roll more than be accurately random, right? Those you have really sharp corners and stuff like that, and you wouldn't put any marbling in them or anything like that, because the moment you do all that fancy stuff, you actually make it less random. I know that was a tangent. I'm just always impressed with how much companies get away with charging for dice. It's impressive. So good for Awakened Realms for making a ton of profit, because that's definitely overcharging. But again, people like it. It is a unique product. They did sculpt it. They did design it. So there is that process to it more than just the dice. So I actually appreciate that more than some other ones where it's like, get the purple ones and the blue ones, and it's like, that costs them nothing extra. It's just silly. But anyway, I digress. They're having fun with it, of course. Now, it hasn't broke 100,000, but it's also still 10 days to go. So I'll keep tracking this and kind of see. It's almost at 1,000 backers, which is actually kind of impressive. All right, next up, we have some stuff coming up. Euthia is coming out. Now, this is May 2nd, so still a ways out. However, I want to let you know, Euthia is coming back. SFG is bringing them back. And I do have a picture of that mini, so I wanted to share that mini with you. That's a cool looking mini. I love these cracks here. Something about how deep the cracks are, and the fact that even like the rim, they like broke bits of the rim, so even like the framing of it is still in like world. I actually kind of like something about it. Just tickled me the right way. I dig it. The only important part is that those skulls are the right size. All right, next up we have Solace. Now, Solace is coming out here very, very soon, as you see, April 9th. Now, I have Solace with me. I will be talking about that game more, so stay tuned for that. It looks like a pretty darn cool graphic novel, anime, card game, small package, able to play a full 1 to 5 co-op game like that. Looks pretty neat. I love the art. However, I tend to love a lot of AI art. Like, I think it looks good. It just does. I think this art looks good. It turns out this is AI art. So what are they doing? They are actually having it be human drawn. So they did the AI art. Obviously, if you didn't know, Solace is by Lunar Oak Studio, who typically do a lot of art, like on the fancy art on their own, but that can be quite expensive. Lunar Oak Studio has not had a breakout success yet when it comes to being able to run their company with a lot of like investment into their next product when it comes to stuff like art. So they used AI art for here, and then when it funds, they will actually be able to fund the production of the real art. Now, one thing I like about this is there are changes and improvements, right? So for instance, the AI art got them this, which looks pretty good, right? But they were able to really change the pose to not be quite as awkward, right? Instead of just standing there like that, she actually has her arm bent as, resting her hand. And then you can see also that, like, this one has this little bit here, but this one they actually made it as kind of like a little headpiece. So they actually made it wrap around there. So they're able to fine-tune adjust it in a lot easier way, which I think is pretty darn cool, actually. So I think that's pretty neat. But for the most part, it's the same thing. They're just redrawing it, right? But either way, it'll be human-made and human touched up and stuff like that, which, yeah, it's pretty good. So that's cool. Next up, we also have Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. This is by Go On Board. This was the game I couldn't tell you guys about. I've played it, and it is actually a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun playing this. It was super cool. Okay, so in fact, Go On Board, I think, has been doing great. I've been on Go On Board's like camp since Titans, if you recall that. Titans I called a better Rising Sun. I know, I did hot take, right? But I had grown cold on Rising Sun, and I said, wait, what is this? Good to say Michael King said, wait, people are talking about me. Here's my current issues. In it, as clear a summary I want to give a live answer to this. I can provide based on how little we really know. It's all well and good to say Michael King said, but that's an appeal to authority and has no grounding or affiliated information. Yeah, 100%. Well, I wouldn't call myself authority. This is just like they haven't shown a whole lot of this game yet. I'm sure they will show more and more information will come. So right now it's just like hey, we've announced it. Here's a little bit, right? You can kind of get a high level. Here's what some people who have played it have said. And then notice there's like no gameplay here. So yes, right now it's just like marketing stuff. I'm sure they're going to show you more of the game, right? I need to touch base with them. I don't know exactly how much I can say about the gameplay, so I'm not going to just because they haven't shown it here yet. But I did have a lot of fun with it. I played one mission with them, and it was good. It was good. They do some very interesting stuff. Let me see what my quote is here. It was awesome. Oh, yeah, I just said that. I had a lot of fun. Not only do I love the theme, but I see things here that are unique for cooperative games that will definitely make it stand out. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's okay, I'm not going to get too into it, but the cooperative nature of it, working together, is done differently here than I have personally experienced before in all the games I've played. It was pretty cool what they did to both handle the FPS aspect of it, handle the cyberpunk aspect of it, and then handle the fact that you might be working together, right? So I was thinking very much at like the beginning of Cyberpunk 2077, right? Like, so I don't want to spoil the story of Cyberpunk either, but you have this friend that you're with, and it's kind of you two going and doing these things, even though it's a single player game. And it kind of reminded me a bit of that. That's all I'll say for now. I'll talk more later, of course, and I'll get with them. Honestly, though, I did have quite a bit of fun. It was definitely pretty cool. So stay tuned for this. And that is a cool looking mini. I dig that. They were thinking about doing some other stuff too that was like wow out there, like wild, crazy. Anyway, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they. I don't know if they ended up doing that or not. So I'm not going to mention it. But they were trying to make this pretty smooth, in an interesting way. Okay, the Megan Plus. This is going to be really, really big, mainly because I'm a huge fan of my Megan table from Geeking Sun. It's really high quality. It's a really great table, and I game on it all the time now. Like, definitely my favorite table that I had. It is quite nice. Their new felt system that they have, that was the one bummer I had of the original one. Their new system that I saw at Spiel, fantastic. It feels so good. The cushion's good. It's very nice. Now, of course, they're updating the Megan table, which is perfect for Warhammer because often it gets big enough for Warhammer, especially the Megan Large, and it can get tall enough so you can walk around it really, really well. Again, huge fan. Obviously, they're adding the LED. They're adding a few more things. Looks like some inbuilt card holders, perhaps, stuff like that. So there's the regular Megan table has it. So I don't know everything that's new here, but it is an expanded furniture series they're doing as well. I know they often have a lot of these. They have the rail system there, so What all they're adding, I'm not exactly sure besides the LED, so I guess we will see, but I'm super excited. Now, they do have this here. I'm going to go and link to this, and this will be the last thing I link to today. This is kind of interesting. So essentially, you can pay $100 and get like a goodie bag, and you'll get that money off in there, right? So they obviously just want you to like put $100 ahead of time. The $100 doesn't get refunded if you don't back it. However, it doesn't go away either. So you can use it on their website, you can use it on a future Kickstarter, you can use it on whatever. But don't do it unless you think you're actually going to get the table. But if you are going to get the table, then it is worthwhile because you get some free stuff with it, which is super cool, I guess. And you could win a free table. Don't ever put money in just because you want to win something. That's just never a good idea ever on anything. Don't ever do that. But otherwise, looks pretty good. One thing I will also say is it doesn't seem to have the little pull tabs there around here, which is kind of interesting. Did it in this one as well? At least not in this render they have here. So interesting. Anyway, I'm pretty excited about it. I think I'm getting another table to show off. I don't know if it's the Megan Plus or not. So I'll let you guys know. Either way, excited to show it. They're going to be actually coming to my home and building it. That's the service they offer. So I'll be able to talk about that as well in a future review. So that'll be kind of good because they didn't in the first time. So anyway, it'll be pretty cool. Guys, there's a ton of stuff there. I know I went through a whole lot. I know this ended up being a long video. I had to go through a lot. I had to catch up. Is there something I missed that I need to know about or other people need to know about? Let me know in the comments below, of course. Guys, thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate it so much. I know it's been a while. The algorithm's going to hate me. I don't know how well this video is going to do. If you want to share it, by all means, or if nothing else, if you're here, go ahead and give the video a like. It will help that algorithm forgive me a bit quicker. Hopefully, within the next few weeks, I'm back to normal. It depends on what the algorithm decides to show you guys. Unless, of course, you're subscribed. So subscribe if you haven't already so you can see future videos just like this. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.